Yo, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to tell you why you are wrong about eating raw meat. Yes, you are wrong. 6 ways where you are wrong about eating raw meat. And for those of you who eat raw meat currently, and you find yourself in arguments with people about why raw meat is better or why they think it is worse and why you should cook your meat and blah, 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 you can use these 6 points to argue with your friends and win the argument and feel good about your decision to eat raw meat. If you care about that kind of thing, I don't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Just a quick bit of background about my experience eating raw meat. I have been doing it for over 2 years. So, not people maybe who've been eating it for more than that, but 2 years, that's a pretty long time. I've eaten all kinds of raw meat: beef, chicken, duck, pork, liver, various types of liver, fish, squid. Ugh, it's gross. I think that's it. Never had goat or fucking any of that other weird shit. Lamb, maybe? Did I have raw lamb? Maybe. Anyway, I've got a lot of experience eating raw meat. I've eaten it hundreds of times. And I know what I'm talking about when it comes to eating raw meat. And I think my type of experience is somewhat unique in that I also work out. And as I've said many times before, the barometer, in my opinion, of whether or not something is healthy is whether or not it allows you to exercise at the same level of intensity with a comparable level of stamina as another type of food. And in my experience, raw meat is pretty much up there with just about anything else, and confers some benefits that cooked meat does not have, which we'll get into later. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and this is kind of in response to a few of the comments that I had on my last video where I ate the pre-packaged organic grass-fed ground beef from Walmart, like straight up the square of beef in a plastic package. I just opened it and started eating it with a fork. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link to it in the description. But I posted that, and a lot of people, some people, you've seen my channel before, I do this kind of thing. And other people were like, oh my God, what about the diseases? Aren't you worried about that? Aren't you freaked out about getting salmonella? And no, I'm not. Because it's never happened before. I have no reason to believe that it would happen in the future. And the reason is because, the quality control practices in the meat industry are sufficient to prevent contamination, right? They're not packaging contaminated meat. You know what I'm saying? The meat industry, it's not like your brother fucking slaughtering the cow in his backyard and grinding it up in his fucking stainless steel grinder and sealing the packages with his heat gun. You know what I'm saying? It's in a fucking sterile facility. That shit is, they have government standards they need to comply with. There's inspectors that go around and, make sure that they're doing everything right. And they're not going to provide contaminated meat to a major chain like Walmart. It's just not going to happen. And to think that if you eat something, and I understand where this comes from, right? There are some vegetables, for example, that if you eat them without cooking them, you might get sick. Like potatoes, for example, I think are poisonous unless you cook them. If you eat a raw potato, I think they're poisonous. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. But the same does not apply to meat. And, I've got the experience to prove it. I don't have a magical stomach. I'm not like the one person in the world who can eat it and not get sick from it. I don't know how common it is, but it's your body, you are capable of doing it. What do you think people did before they invented fire? You think they just ate fucking berries and nuts, and then all of a sudden they invented fire and they're like, holy shit, we can kill those zebras now and eat them. Oh my God, this is amazing. No, they ate the fucking meat too. What's wrong with you? Number 2, you'll get sick if you eat raw meat. No, that is also incorrect. And like I said before, I've eaten raw meat hundreds of times, never once gotten sick. I got sick one time from eating rare meat. That was at a hamburger restaurant in Israel. Got sick from that for sure. I think that was just bad meat or something. It's not, if it's raw and it's fresh, then it's fine. If it's raw and it's old, I wouldn't eat that. I don't know how people do this high meat thing like that. Maybe that has to like it has to rot and like come full cycle in its rottenness or something. I don't know. I've never tried that, so I don't know. People do that too. That's like the next level for me. Um, but you won't get sick if you eat raw meat. You won't. Again, like I said earlier, it comes back to this whole thing of like, what do you think they did before fire? They ate the meat raw. You know, done. End of story. Um, and bottom line, like I've done it a million times. You're not going to get sick from it. Like, take my word for it, I guess. Or some of the other raw meat YouTubers or people out there who do it. You're not going to get sick. I don't know how else to say it. Like, you are not going to get sick if you eat raw meat that is clean, that comes from a like good facility. And even, I made a video back when I was in Vietnam. Was this last year? Where I was living there briefly, and it was so cheap there that I would go to a like one of their open air markets, and I would buy beef liver, which was what was it, like 5,000 dong for a kilo, and I think it's like 30,000 dong is $1. So what is that, like a sixth of $1, which is 18 cents. 18 cents for 2 pounds of beef liver. You know, to give you an idea, like you can actually live there on $3 a month. It wouldn't be the most interesting diet to have, but you'll have everything you need. Um, and this was not a very sanitary environment at all. This was like in the hot ass Vietnamese sun. It's like 100 degrees outside. And yeah, okay, we were in the shade, but they had all of these meats or animal body parts on these countertops. And you have these old, like 60-year-old Vietnamese women sitting on the countertops with their feet on the countertops, like their dirty ass feet on the same top that like the meat is on. And I was like going through this raw meat thing at the time. And I was like, okay. And I got all excited from the fact that, the liver was so cheap. I was like, all right, I guess I'll try eating this. It's not very sanitary, but let's try it. Maybe it'll work because I really want to keep eating raw meat. And I ate it, and I was fine. I was fine. I was totally fine. Did not have a single problem. Maybe I had some smelly farts. Maybe I had some smelly farts. But other than that, I was totally fine. I will say that liver is one of the meats that I prefer cooked, just because it's kind of gross when it's raw. It's just like too slimy and just nasty. Which brings me to my next point, which is that raw meat tastes gross. Well, some of it does. Some of it does. But some of it actually tastes really good. I prefer I prefer raw ground beef that is organic and grass-fed. In fact, the exact same type that I featured in my last video where I ate it from Walmart. It's like $6. Tastes really good. You got a little bit of salt or a little bit of hot sauce or whatever, it tastes really good. It's not gross. Next one. My friends and family will judge me if they see me eat raw meat. Well, maybe. But like, are your friends and family the type of people that you would take health advice from? Like, are they fit? Do they know anything about health and fitness at all? And not just like the mainstream Dr. Oz fucking bullshit about health and fitness. Like, do they do independent research and empirical testing on their own about what is better or worse when it comes to nutrition and exercise and stuff like supplements? Do they do that? No. Well, if you want to be a trendsetter, if you want to be at the front of the latest breaking research in nutritional science that is actually tested on real live human beings, then guess what? You got to do some shit that some people are going to think is weird. Back in the early 2000s, when I was doing the Warrior Diet, which is now famously called intermittent fasting, everybody told me, oh, you're going to ruin your metabolism. I can't believe you're doing that. Oh my God, you're going to gain so much weight and this and that. Meanwhile, I was lean as a motherfucker, shredded to the bone, and they were all fat and out of shape. So like, who the fuck cares what they think? I know it works because I tried it. You have to be open to trying new things, which is kind of the point here, which is that in the beginning, they'll judge you. I remember the first time I saw somebody eat raw meat, I was watching a Snake Diet Guy video, and I saw him eat I saw him eat like a pound of liver with like a stick of butter and some raw eggs. And I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, this guy's crazy. This guy's on another level for sure. And I was like, okay, well, if he tried it, he seems okay. And I already knew that he like knew his stuff about everything else. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll try it. And I tried it and it actually worked. So that's how it starts, right? It starts with one person being brave enough to try it. And then if it's actually a good choice, other people will notice that. People will notice, believe me. And, they might try it as well if you care. The next one, cooked meat is digested easier. Cooked meat is easier to digest. And I'm going to beg to differ on this one. They say that, the rationale behind this is because cooked meat is what's called denatured protein, where it's like already kind of broken down for you. It's somehow easier to digest. I'm going to disagree with that for two reasons. The first reason is that when you eat cooked meat versus when you eat raw meat, when you eat the cooked meat, it sits very heavy in your stomach. It's like you're eating this ball of like dead protein, not mush, but like a dead protein block that you have consumed. And it's better than most other things you can eat for sure. But when you make the transition to eating raw meat and you feel the difference that it has on your body in terms of, how do I explain it? It's like how your body absorbs it, I guess. Like you eat the raw meat and it almost feels like you haven't even eaten anything. Like you're full, you're satiated, but you don't have that like bloated stomach. Like what time is it now? 6:45. I ate bacon. I ate like a pound of bacon and 4 eggs cooked, at 2 o'clock, and my stomach is still like bloated. I'm still full. I still like my fucking stomach is full. And a pound of bacon cooked down, like it was a pound when it was, fresh, and I cooked it down, cooked all the fat out of it. A pound of bacon cooked down is not a lot of meat. Like I cooked a lot of the fucking fat out of that shit. But it's still like sitting in a block in my stomach. But if I had eaten instead a pound of raw meat that had not been cooked down at all, like an actual pound, I would have less of a full feeling in my stomach. I would probably have way more energy too, because I was out for a couple hours after I ate that fucking bacon, let me tell you. And another thing is that once you switch to eating raw meat, you don't want to go back to eating cooked meat again. You feel kind of like you're cheating a little bit. You're like, man, I feel so much better when I eat the raw meat, but the cooked meat, it's more socially acceptable. Like I'm going to dinner with these people, I'm gonna have a steak, I'm gonna have some chicken fingers, whatever. Also, you avoid this whole issue of like potentially using, canola oil or soybean oil or any of these like trash oils when you eat raw meat, because you're actually only consuming the meat itself. Okay, and then this final point, which is one that I hear quite a bit, which is that human civilization only started expanding with the advent of fire and therefore cooking. Therefore, cooked meat is healthier. All right, there's this whole idea that like, well, human beings only really started to progress technologically once they invented fire. And in order to cook food, you require fire. So therefore, the invention of fire and cooking is responsible for like this enlightenment of human beings becoming smarter because they somehow digested the food better and all this bullshit. And I don't think that is the case. I do not think that is the case. Obviously, none of us were there. We can't go back in our time machines and, interview these people. But I did right here that correlation does not equal causation. Okay, just because that those two things line up does not mean that one caused the other, right? What I think happened is that cooking meat allowed for the meat to be stored for a longer period of time. When you can store the meat for a long time, you can stockpile food, and you can, you can stay in one place for longer. You don't have to become a nomadic. You're not like on the run all the time following the herd. You can kill a couple fucking buffalo and have meat for, I don't know, months, right? Isn't any of you people who have like bought your own cow or something? You buy like one cow a year and fucking the meat lasts you for the whole year or some shit. I don't know how it works, but that's what I understand. Cows are fucking gigantic, man. You're not going to eat all that shit in a day. And when you cook the meat, you can store it for a longer period of time. You can cook it, you can salt it, you can cure it, you can fucking keep it for a longer period, which is going to allow you to stay in one place for longer because you don't have to follow the herd, which is going to allow you some kind of breathing room to develop more technology and further enrich your civilization with other types of technology and culture and things like that. Also allowed them to expand their territory if they wanted to. You could take with you. The one, I guess, disadvantage of raw meat is that, and again, like I said, I'm not into this whole high meat thing, but is that it spoils pretty quickly. Like I've experienced a few times where I have taken some raw meat with me to work and have not have not eaten it, and it has kind of sat in my desk, I guess, at work for not even really that long, maybe only like 8 or 9 hours, but at room temperature. And when I open it to eat it, it's got like a funky smell, and like it just kind of smelled off. And I was like, I don't want to eat this. So anyway, the point is that it spoils quickly if you don't cook it. So doesn't really make well for doesn't lend itself well to like going on long trips to fucking explore distant lands. You can't really take it with you. Whereas if you cook the meat, you can fucking load up your bag and you're good for a couple days at least. Okay, has nothing to do with being healthier. I think what you sacrifice in healthiness, you make up for inconvenience, or at least you made up for inconvenience back then. I think now, with grocery stores being as prevalent as they are and the quality control standards that the meat industry is subject to, I think, I don't want to say there's no excuse for not eating raw meat, but I definitely think that if you are interested in your health, that is something that you should consider doing, because the benefits are increased energy, increased mood, increase like better digestive health, let's call it. And it's, better athletic performance, I would say. And it's just something that, why wouldn't you try it, I guess? Like, you're not going to die from one fucking little container of raw meat. It's not going to kill you. Give it a shot if you can get over the, the grossness of it and stigma. Cool. That is my video about that. Let me know what you guys think. Also, I have a new fitness course, The Minimalist Guide to Fitness, coming out at the end of this month, November 2020. And I will be doing a pre-sale. So if you are interested in signing up for the pre-sale, go to theminfit.com, theminfit.com, link in the description. Sign up for the free webinar or whatever it is, and you will get notified when the actual course itself comes out. I'm going to have a module. There's a module on fasting. There's one on nutrition. There's one on, principles of exercise. There are exercise demonstrations. There are workout demonstrations, action plans. The whole shebang is going to be a super awesome program. Highly recommend you guys at least sign up for the notifications. If not, buy the course outright. It's going to be very affordable in the beginning, and then I'm going to raise the price as time goes on. So if you want to get updated on that, link in the description. If you have any comments about this, let me know. Follow me on Instagram. Blah blah blah. Peace.